This is an account of the Primarch Fulgrim and his legion, the Emperor's children. It is a chronicle of beauty sought, perfection pursued, and a soul utterly devoured by the very ideals it championed. Forget the simple tales of heroism or villainy. Forget the clean lines of right and wrong. Today, we dissect a tragedy of exquisite horror. The artist who painted his own damnation, the perfectionist who found only corruption in his ultimate ideal, and the Primarch whose fall was a symphony of screams. Welcome to the archives, if you dare to gaze upon the shattered remnants of a perfect dream, and the soul of a warrior twisted into a grotesque parody of his former self. Try to comprehend, if you can, the mind that strove for flawlessness, only to embrace the most abhorrent excess, because with Fulgrim, every brushstroke of genius was a step towards the abyss, and his perfection was a lie. Fulgrim was found on Chemos, a world of grinding industry and stark, brutal beauty. Yet, from this crucible emerged a soul obsessed with artistry, elegance, and absolute flawlessness. He was a prodigy, not of war, but of creation, a sculptor, a musician, a poet, who believed that true perfection was achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. He sought to elevate humanity, not just conquer it, through the sheer magnificence of his being. His legion, the Emperor's children, had been brought low, reduced to a mere 200 souls. This shame became Fulgrim's driving force. He rebuilt them, not just to strength, but to an unyielding standard of perfection that bordered on the obsessive. Every gene seed, every weapon, every warrior had to be flawless. He pushed them, and himself, beyond all limits, desperate to prove their worth, to erase the stain of their near annihilation. This relentless pursuit, this unforgiving demand for absolute flawlessness, left no room for imperfection, no tolerance for anything less than the ideal. It was the seed of his undoing, the fatal flaw in his otherwise magnificent design. He clashed, even then, with his brother, Ferrus Manas, the Gorgon. Ferrus, with his blunt, practical nature, saw little value in Fulgrim's artistic pursuits, dismissing them as frivolous. Fulgrim, in turn, saw Ferrus's utilitarianism as a crude limitation, a lack of vision. This friction, this fundamental disagreement on the nature of perfection, was a foreboding whisper of the horrors to come.
Perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away.
The true descent began not with a roar of rebellion, but with a seductive whisper. It began with the Laer, an alien race whose biosculpted forms epitomized a grotesque yet alluring perfection. Fulgrim was captivated. He saw in them a reflection of his own ideals, pushed to an extreme he had not yet dared to imagine. But the true poison lay within their temple, within the unholy gleam of a demon blade. When Fulgrim took that blade, it was not merely a weapon, it was a conduit. It offered him sensations of horror and ecstasy, a perverse symphony that began to warp his very soul. His pursuit of perfection shifted, subtly at first, from the aesthetic to the sensory, from beauty to excess. Every experience was to be explored, every passion unrestrained, every vice indulged. This was the insidious touch of Slaa-Nesh, the Prince of Pleasure, twisting his noble aspirations into a foul, insatiable hunger. And then there was Fabius Bile, the spider, whose unholy intellect saw in Fulgrim's legion the perfect canvas for his own vile experiments. His genetic enhancements, initially welcomed as a means to achieve greater flawlessness, became the physical manifestation of the legion's spiritual decay. Flesh was reshaped, senses heightened, all in the name of a perfection that was rapidly becoming monstrous. The Emperor's children, once paragons, were becoming addicted to sensation, their souls slowly rotting from within.
No experience was to be denied. No passion was to be restrained. No horror to be turned from, and no vice to remain unexplored.
The whispers became a scream at the Maraviglia, a performance meant to be the pinnacle of art, but which became a grotesque carnival of damnation. Under the influence of Slaa-Nesh, the audience, the musicians, even the very air, became warped by excess. bodies twisted, faces contorted in unholy ecstasy as the Legion's corruption burst forth for all to see. This was not perfection. This was abhorrent, beautiful chaos. When the heresy erupted, Fulgrim did not join Horus out of cold logic or resentment, but with a manic, zealous enthusiasm. He saw in the rebellion a new canvas for his warped ideals, a chance to achieve the perfection of destruction, to indulge in sensations previously unimaginable. His loyalty to the Emperor, to the Imperium, crumbled before the promise of ultimate sensation. But the deepest wound, the most agonizing betrayal, was reserved for his brother, Pyrrhus Manus. On the fields of Istvan V, the two friends, the two rivals, clashed. Pyrrhus, the blunt, honest artisan, confronted Fulgrim, the corrupted aesthete. There was a moment, a flicker of humanity, as Fulgrim hesitated, as the choice between brotherhood and damnation hung in the air. But the Daemon Blade, the whispers of Slaa-Nesh, had already claimed him. With a single, horrific blow, Fulgrim shattered the head of his brother, severing not just a life, but the last fragile tether to his own humanity. It was the ultimate sacrifice of soul for sensation, a monument to his own damnation. Even Perturabo, in their later encounters, could only gaze upon Fulgrim's hideous transformation with utter, profound disgust.
You are a terrible Gorgon, Fulgrim. You will consume yourself.
I am perfect. I am beautiful. I am everything.
The ultimate consequence of Fulgrim's pursuit of perfection was not apotheosis into godhood, but a grotesque, horrifying transformation into a Daemon Prince of Slaa-Nesh. His once radiant form twisted, elongated, becoming a serpentine nightmare of alluring horror. His beauty, once a source of inspiration, was now a perverse parody, designed to tempt and corrupt all who beheld it. This was the final, irreversible step in his damnation, where his soul became irrevocably bound to the Prince of Pleasure. The Emperor's children, once the proud exemplars of perfection, followed their Primarch into the abyss. They became a legion of hedonistic, cruel monsters, indulging in every conceivable vice, their battles becoming orgies of sensation and slaughter. They lost all semblance of their former selves, their artistry replaced by sadistic excess, their elegance by grotesque depravity. Fulgrim's legacy is a chilling testament to the dangers of unchecked ambition, of a relentless pursuit of perfection that leaves no room for humility, for humanity. He sought to transcend, but instead, he became a slave to his own desires, a monstrous puppet of Slaa-Nesh. His story is not just a fall, it is a devouring, a complete erasure of the self in the pursuit of an impossible, corrupting ideal.
Perfection is a boundless ocean of sensation, and I am its master.
So, what is the legacy of Fulgrim, the phoenix who burned himself alive? It is a stark, terrifying reminder that the pursuit of absolute perfection, untempered by humility or compassion, can lead to the most grotesque forms of damnation. He soared, he twisted, he betrayed, and he fell. His story is not a call to arms, but a chilling whisper. In the grim darkness of the far future, the most beautiful ideals can be devoured by the very hunger they create, leaving behind only monstrous, corrupted echoes. This is Remembrancer Archives, and the archives of the Imperium continue to reveal their bleak, unsettling, and utterly grim truths. Perfection, corrupted, eternally. The archives of the Imperium are vast, and the truths they hold are endless. If you seek to understand the grim darkness of the far future, if you dare to witness the full scope of its tragedies and its horrors, then join the Remembrancer Archives. Subscribe now to ensure you miss no further chronicles, and delve deeper into the fates of other Primarchs, like the Architect of Despair, Perturabo, or the Master of Deception, Alpharius. The truth awaits.